Are you only interested in writing about science, or would you like someday want to publish your own book or something which doesn't have to do a lot with science, but something with the fictional world or something like that? Just out of curiosity.
So, no, maybe not fiction. And if it involves fiction, maybe just some elements of it, because I've focused most. I'm more into writing non-fiction material, so I don't know. Like fiction doesn't come to me that naturally. But yeah, I mean, I would like to explore the creative writing space a little bit. I mean, because the whole writing in itself is a creative process, right? Instead of binding it to a certain space, if there are avenues where I can write more creatively, I would uh, love to do that. And I don't know if, I mean, if readers are interested, then why not? But I don't know if I'll find enough readers to read if I write a book. That's the other thing. Yeah.
I think you certainly will. Before
I
we
hope
go
so.
back, yeah, before we go back into the professional conversation, so I also noticed that you speak lots of languages. I think all the South Indian languages. How or
Uh,
why did that go?
it's interesting. I'm curious where you picked that up from. But anyway, actually, I'm originally a Malayali, my roots are in Kerala. So I know Malayalam because we speak Malayalam at home. But because I've been brought up outside Kerala, it's not as fluent, and people will know that I'm not somebody who's been in Kerala. Because the language, because it's a little broken. So I was brought up in Karnataka, so I studied English, Kannada, and Hindi in school because we had to learn three languages because of the three language policy that we all know about. And so I picked up some Hindi there. Kannada and English was a languages that I used a lot. Especially after I came to Bangalore, we started using conversing in English more in schools and colleges. But I was in other parts of Karnataka before, where Kannada was a more dominant language of conversation there. So that's how I picked it up. And Telugu, I can't remember exactly, but I think I used to watch a lot of videos and had friends around and somehow picked that up. And Tamil also, we had a lot of folks who used to talk in Tamil, even when we were in other places in Karnataka. And then once I came to Bangalore, actually I made a lot of friends during my bachelor's and my master's in Chennai. My master's was in Chennai, by the way, where I used Tamil a little bit more. The thing with languages is the more you use them, you can get better at it, right? It's just the circle around you. So you're in a cosmopolitan space where you have people who speak in Hindi, Tamil, Telugu. And when I came to ISC, I could find people who speak in all of these languages. And so I could converse with all of them. Sometimes it's difficult to make these switches, but yeah, I speak to a Tamilian and then go speak to a Teluguite. I might take a few words from Tamil and speak there, and then realize that, oh, okay, I'm not speaking Telugu here. But yeah, these are ways that you can pick up languages.
That is a truly exceptional skill, I gotta say. So
Thank you. But
coming
yeah,
back to
some of my friends initially when I was in Chennai, they would call my Tamil mutated Tamil. So many of the languages I speak might sound mutated to the native speaker.
at least you can speak all these languages. Coming back to the professional conversation, we noticed that you have also briefly visited the US. So how was that experience like? Speaking of the science life, is it too different from here?
Yeah, so that was a very interesting experience because I could go on the fellowship. So the fellowship is meant to be a scientific and cultural exchange. So I found this lab in Cleveland of Professor Abhinav Acharya, who was willing to host me my stay there on the fellowship, and so it was really a great experience, both in terms of science and culturally also, because I got exposed to a new culture and new way of doing things. Science wise, I would say that there's of course a lot more resources, especially when you come from a biology background where you need a lot of and I am a experimental biologist, so you need a lot of reagents, chemicals, and whatnot to conduct these experiments, and those are not cheap. They are very expensive. So just being and so that is one factor where and also because there's a lot of these companies that manufacture many of these maybe antibodies or enzymes over there, you will find that you also don't have the huge time lag that we find in India if we place an order from the time we place an order to getting it to the lab. So those are that availability of resources and the speed is something that is really cool, and also you have better infrastructure. I mean, I'm not saying that there are places in India where you have world class infrastructure for doing science, but I think that just the availability of companies that sell these products there very close by and better services, all of these things make a difference, and there is better infrastructure also in terms of the machines that they have and the kind of questions that you could ask using those techniques. So that's mainly the difference. And secondly, there's also a very good network that makes a difference also in science, because you have people from very different backgrounds coming together, bringing their ideas into science, which contrast that to India, you would not find as much, because it's a space where most of us working here are Indians, and of course we have a few international colleagues, but it's not to the level that you would find in a country like US, where you have people from all countries, all geographical regions working there. And I think all of those things also make a difference in the way you do science and advanced science. And you have some world leaders in many areas in the US, so you might just bump into them during a conference when you're presenting posters. So all of which really shapes the way you think. And I feel I also see that because of such engagement, you're also like very aware or more informed of what's going on around you. In the sense that if you attend a conference there, you might know what's happening in a lab before, maybe a couple of years before the paper even comes out, or a year before that. So you know how things are happening, when things are happening. So all that is the advantage and is different, I would say. But in the way of doing science in terms of training and approach, many things are similar, and it's the same kind of training that you can carry in both the places. It's just the scale of doing things, the kind of things that you can do and you can think of, that becomes very different. And just because you are constantly in touch with people who are doing these fantastic science, I think just that network also helps in boosting your morale, and also your science and all of that. Yeah.
And we were also curious about the research life in India as well. So, how does one manage to strike a balance between professional and personal life during a PhD and beyond that, especially in our country where the culture is often glorified if you are like overworking or something like that?
Right. So I would say, I mean, it depends a lot on the field of your choice. But I would say that, especially if you're going into biology, there's a lot of work involved in terms of experimental biology involves a lot of, you have to put a lot of hours in the lab. And so that is not saying that you should always be in the lab, but then what I'm saying is that it's demanding in a certain way, and that if you want to be somebody who is on the forefront in the field, you would have to put in so much of time and effort. So it demands, it is demanding in that way. But you can still make time. I mean, you still ought to make time for your personal experiences and your personal life, and there should be a line. Many times it's like, you it may not be possible for you to really work something like 9 to 5 strictly, right? But then there are days when you will have a lot more work, but there are maybe slightly lighter days where you would not have as much work, depending on how you plan out your experiments and all that. So you ought to sort of be conscious of that and plan your work in such a way that you get time for your personal work and your personal life alongside of the work that you do. So, and sometimes these are not very predictable, in the sense you might have to do something on a certain day. You would have planned it for maybe 2 days later, but you see that the cells are growing, so there's something that you need to do today rather than keep it for tomorrow or day after. So there are small things that come like that, which you have to be prepared for. But otherwise, I feel like you should strike the balance depending on. So I would say there may be, as actually one of my friends put it, living in the incubation intervals or something like that. So I mean, you will find times, but you ought to just plan it accordingly. Sometimes it might be that you have to prioritize your experiments, and then you have time around it. But definitely, personal time is something that you have to make for yourself, create for yourself, and it's not something that will just come your way. So that is something that I would say.
That was a good advice.